Tasha St. Patrick, you're under arrest for the murder of James St. Patrick.
Tariq, listen to me. Go to school. Live your life.
Specifically, let's be honest, the fans, they had a lot of thoughts about the end of last season. But I will say, like, what would you say to folks? Maybe there's some folks, they're not Team Tariq yet, but you're like, you should come and check this out. What would you say to those folks to help entice them to come into this new chapter and see what this character does?
I mean, I feel like, people, they love Ghost. So it's like, Tariq is very similar to Ghost, even when he doesn't even notice it. So I feel like it's kind of like a reincarnation type of thing, maybe. Like, he's starting off, it's like kind of like Ghost, like, he's just going from little Ghost to, to where he was. But now it's just like Tariq is starting over like a new life, basically. He has different responsibilities. Like he has to take care of mom in jail. He has to take care of Yasmin and grandma. And on top of that, he has to get good grades. And, he's just weighing all of those responsibilities around, and he's just trying to figure out the best way to get through it. And he's learning during the process. So I feel like, it's a new beginning for Tariq in a way.
You've been playing Tariq for a long time. So talk about taking him to the Ghost mantle. Is this something that you saw? Were you nervous about it?
And honestly, I did not expect Tariq to end up, how he, like where he is now. It's definitely a blessing for sure. But, he grew, and he went through a lot of things in life. So it's just like, I feel like there's like, what could we do to make his story a little more interesting? And then from there, they just went crazy. And then we ended up here. Honestly, I still can't believe it. It's still, even though like, I've been working on this for a few months now, it's still just like setting in like, damn, I'm still like, I'm number one on the call sheet now. Like it's a huge responsibility, You're not exactly the same age as Tariq. Like you're pretty close, right? Like a little bit. I'm older than Tariq, yeah.
Yeah, it's a little bit. So I bet this is probably a little bit too close. Was there something that you did around his age, or have you made a similar like risky choice?
Nah, Tariq, he in a league of his own when it comes to. I'm not gonna lie. I mean, I'm I was a teenager, but like, I do teenager stuff, everything that teenagers do, but I don't know about no killing nobody, like stuff like that. Like, nah, that's not me. That's Tariq,
Yeah, and in this new beginning, you guys have brought in some new faces, tons of new faces, in fact. Is there anyone that you think folks should be particularly, of your new co-stars, that they should be excited to see? Or is there someone that when you saw that they were joining, you were particularly excited about?
And I feel like everyone should be excited about all the new additions because they're all amazing. Honestly, shout out to Paige, shout out to Woody, shout out to Lavelle, shout out to Mary, shout out to Method Man. All of them are amazing. So I can't wait for people to really tune in and get a taste of the new people, like the new world of power. But yeah, I mean, it's huge. Mary J. Blige is part of it. Method Man is just like, that's like star power right there. Like I walk into a room, I feel their presence like this, So it's definitely a different, like it's a different type of, for me. So it's just like, wow, I'm just blessed,
Davis McQueen, I want to hire you.
$500K. You get that? We'll talk.
Tariq, get your mom to tell the truth.
I will say it's not a departure because you've been acting for a long time, but is this the first time maybe that I think you played a lawyer? So did you go like shadow lawyers? Like how did you get into this one?
I didn't have to shadow any lawyers. What worked for me was when I was in class, me and my scene partner had to do a scene from Philadelphia. I played the Denzel part, he played the Tom Hanks part. So, after watching the film, Philadelphia, I took a lot of the elements from Denzel, but also added some real elements, i.e. Johnny Cochran. It's a real life experience as far as Method Man goes, and I think it's a good marriage.
I think it's a very good marriage as well. Let's put it to you this way. So I'm guessing you were a fan before, like talk about joining the project and, did you and Curtis sort of like plan it out, or I don't think he would make you read for this, right? He just gave you the role.
I actually did read for it. It's crazy.
Oh my God.
But I mean, you can imagine how I felt. I mean, you're a fan of the show, correct? So you can imagine being a fan of the show and then getting a call from your agent saying, look, you have a read for Power. I'm like, oh, but wait a minute, isn't this their final season? And they're like, no, it's a spinoff, Power Book 2, Ghost. It's like, oh, okay, let me go dust off the guns. I know I got to go murder something up real fast. No, actually, it's a lawyer. Like, okay, yeah, I could do that. Not a problem. Went in, auditioned, and got the part. I wouldn't have had it any other way, though. I don't, it's cool to just, be given a part because of your accolades and they trust you with the part. But when you go in and read for them and get it, you've proven yourself,
Wow, that's amazing. And I know I was watching behind the scenes on The Wire, that was how you got your role there. And you very much talked about it. Like, everybody's like, how'd you get the role of Cheese? Like, I went and auditioned. That's how. So the next thing I'm definitely going to ask you, obviously as a fan of the show, let me put it to you this way. There was a lot of thoughts with folks towards the end of the season about Tariq. People had a lot to say. There was so I would say as a fan of the show and also somebody that's part of this next chapter, what would you say to some skeptics? If they're not on Team Tariq right now, what would you say to them to be like, all right, come back. You're gonna be about it.
I will say that you will be highly entertained by the growth of Michael, especially with the spinoff. This is really focused on him. So he's our leading man. And I'm telling you, he really stepped up to the challenge and did excellent work, and for the naysayers, just think of it in this sense. You are watching an original origin story of the new Ghost. Couldn't put it any better.
He was a complicated man.
Ma, we need to get you a lawyer.
What I need is for you to concentrate on school.
You raised that kid.
That boy loves his mother.
There's a totally new arc for your character in this chapter.
For sure.
Talk about sort of like going from one to the other, like what is her arc in this one and what can folks look forward to seeing that's new?
Honestly, Tasha's arc is very different because it starts at a low place. Unlike in the beginning of Power, we see her at the height of her marriage, height of her life, living the best life with all the glitz and glamour and gold and Louis Vuitton. So this is an arc where you'll see her vulnerability. You'll see how she's been stripped down of all of that other stuff. Obviously in an orange jumpsuit, you can't be fashionable every day. But I think Tasha has a journey throughout this year where you see her utilize her own resources and tap into her own strength to survive. And a lot of times it was dependent on Ghost. Her survival was Ghost, I need to call Ghost. We got to figure. And now that Ghost is dead, we kind of have to figure out how we're going to survive on our own. And I think Tasha definitely does a awesome job maneuvering this jail life this season.
When you were Tariq's age, which I don't think you're too far removed from it, but closer to his age, was there a big risk that you took, like he's taken in this one?
Oof. Well, big risks that were non-criminal. Yes. I took a lot of big risks when I was Tariq's age in the show. A little younger, honestly. I decided at 15, I decided to take a risk and leave my normal high school regular life and jump into a girl group called 3LW and get a record deal. I traveled the world, the country, and literally just lived my life as a teen pop star. That was a risk. And also one of the other big risks at 19, I was in college. I left college at Seton Hall University as a junior, and I took a chance and took an offer to do Hairspray on Broadway. And it changed my life and changed my entire career and trajectory of it. So taking risks, they're good, but not the kind of risks that Tariq is taking.
You got game.
What have you gotten me into? I can't fail. This is my legacy.
All right, let's be honest. Power fans, they have thoughts. They were real. They had a lot of thoughts about Tariq in the last season. I know you were very vocal about like, hey, y'all, give us the thing. And then you come and make this the next chapter. So let's just say that there are some crazy people out there that are still not Team Tariq, and maybe they're skeptical. What would you say to them to say, look, y'all need to come into this next story and see where it's going?
You gotta see who he is. Look, they didn't like Kanan at all until they start to see me actually like Tariq. And then they kind of forgave some people actually like the character after that. Then it was like Ghost killed someone in the first episode. They forgave him because they seen him struggling. It's crazy. Like, even for Kanan, like my request, if I'm gonna play a bad guy, I want to play the worst person they've seen on television for a while.
You did. You did. But hey, that's a testament to your acting. That's a testament to the writing. And that's a testament to the why people are going to be lighting up the internet about this like they light up the internet about everything else y'all did. So when you were Tariq's age, because when we sort of set up this story, he's really changing everything and taking like a huge risk. So I imagine there was a ton when you were Tariq's age, but can you think about some big risks that you were taking back then?
At that point, in those early stages, like Tariq is just going into college, like from high school. Like you look at that point, I was ready to just go get it how I could get it now, like right now. You know, at that point, not really assessing everything. I'm just trying to get it done. Like my grandfather was representation of tradition for me, and he simplified things. So he would go to work, come back, and just hand my grandmother his check. I never understood that growing up. I was like, you just gonna give her all the money? And this is the way it worked. This is the way it worked. And later he explained it to me. He said, you couldn't see it, but when I gave your mama the check, it stopped her from looking at things that I couldn't give her. So it just made more sense to me as an adult.
Well, you did go get it in a lot of different ways, let's be honest. And I think it's so great that you have this new next chapter with entertainment as both a producer and as an actor, because that's just like part of this huge history. I mean, going back to like even like Crush Groove through like Tupac and like Belly, there's been this great marriage, I think, of like R&B and hip hop and like telling stories on screen. So besides your cast and yourself, is there a performance or performer that's made that marriage that you particularly like resonate with and admire?
Well, I watched all of them kind of track, both from Will Smith, Mark Wahlberg, LL Cool J, Ice Cube, Queen Latifah. It's so many good, like really talented people that come from music first, and then kind of find their way into film and television, because it's the other place to tell the story, you know? And the process is so different. Simplicity would be the key to everything that works in music. Whatever organically feels good after you condition for it is usually the right idea, the first idea. But the writing process for film and television is never the first idea. Because by the time it gets in, they got notes and the shit just transforms from one thing to another thing before it hits the end mark. And look, it's so different in process, but it's amazing when it's done well. You know, and I feel like if you tap into the things that are missing, knowing the audience, like knowing what people will relate to, what's relatable, and they'll find interesting because they understand the imperfections in the characters.
Definitely. Well, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Can't wait for more chapters and for folks to get a chance to see it.